Hi. As well as supernaturally opening doors and giving favour, our God is also able to multiply. You should never discount the small that you have, whether it's small income, small opportunities, or small beginnings in any way. Even though these things seem small, you can still stay in an attitude of gratitude for what you do have and then focus on our big God. Our God is able to multiply. If God opens a door of opportunity, treat it with absolute gratitude, treat it with excellence, maintain a great attitude. Always show up putting your best foot forward. If you have a small income, be thankful and rejoice in the Lord. Most of my life I've had to believe God for supernatural bargains, and He has never let me down. Never. My God is faithful, and He has always looked after me. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, the smallest seed, you can say to this mountain, "Be thou removed," and it will eventually move. It may be a mountain of lack that you need removed, possibly even a mountain of bills. It can move. In the Bible, there was a story of the widow who was desperate. Elisha asked her the question, "What do you have? What is your starting point here? Where are we beginning from? What have you got?" Her initial response was that she had nothing. What would your response be today? What do you have? I think if we looked around, we would realize that we all have something. Then the widow said, "Oh, except a little bit of oil." She probably didn't place much value on the oil. When first asked that question, she didn't put value on that oil. But what she didn't realize at the time was what Elisha and God together could do with that little that she had. Sometimes we think we have nothing or nothing of value, but we all have something. We may feel like we could never accomplish our dreams. It just seems impossible to move forward with the little resources that we have. We look at our circumstances, our limited finances, our limited resources, our own limitations, and we feel like we could never move out of our valley of despair. This is when we need to take our eyes off the little that is available and look to our big God. Elisha told the widow to go and borrow as many containers as she could find. Now, the widow had to step out of her desperate situation, leave the house, and act on the word of Elisha. Taking that step of faith would have gone against everything that she was feeling. Gathering vessels must have been humbling. Neighbours must have questioned her actions. Why is she collecting vessels when she's got nothing? She's certainly got nothing to put in them. But she did it out of obedience. There must have been a spark of faith that caused her to get up, stand up just one more time and try again instead of just lying down and dying. God saw her faith to stand up and be obedient. I would imagine that would have put a smile on His face. Her faith, her step of obedience. Did you know that our faith pleases God? Can I encourage you today, if things are difficult and you feel like sitting down or lying down for that matter and giving up, don't go by your feelings. Feelings will come and go. Feelings are fickle. Stand up in the midst of your adversity. Find out what your step of faith is to move forward. Show God that you are willing to gather containers. You are willing to take steps of faith. You are ready for Him to multiply the little that you have. Elisha told her to pour the oil into the first container. Notice, he didn't do that for her. She had to participate in her miracle. She had to cooperate and take steps of faith. She had to pour the oil and it multiplied. It probably didn't make sense to her to start pouring that little bottle of oil in a larger container. Our thoughts may also fight against us as we step out in obedience to what we feel God is saying to us. but this is where we must put our total trust in Him. It is when we obey His instruction that we see the miracle. The widow had to start pouring. If she had not done so, she would never have experienced her miracle. After taking that first step of faith to pour out what she had, the oil continued to flow until all the containers were full. We also read of other miracles where God multiplied the fish and bread. Notice, it was the disciples who had to start the breaking and handing out these small fish and loaves when it just must have seemed ridiculous. Here we have crowds of thousands and just a small handful, a few fish, a few loaves of bread. It must have been a breaking experience. God can turn your nowhere near enough to more than enough. He multiplied the loaves and the fishes, and He can multiply the little that you have. Do not shrink back. Stand up. You have a big God. God bless you. This is Rosanna Palmer.